So I got an email of somebody and he wrote, yeah, a friend adheres to non-dualism, and he says that the true self is changeless. And I doubt that, because everything is changing, so why the true self is not changing? Well, the good thing is he investigates. He just does not immediately say, oh, okay, the true self is changeless. He looks for himself. That's really good, huh? To look for yourself. I want to make a comment to adhering to. Non-dual teachings are not something to adhere to. They are like a fire. These non-dual teachings are like a fire, and they burn away all assumptions and definitions, ideas, misunderstandings. True non-dualism, true Advaita Vedanta, true Mahayana is not something to adhere to. It is not that. And it is not about opinions, it's about realization. For yourself. So I want to say that. Tell this your friend. So how come? If everything is changing, how come the true self is not changing? It should change with me as I grow older and change. How come? Everything is changing. Everything. Here you have it. Everything. Everything. Thing. Everything. The true self is not a thing. The true self is a pointing to undefinable, unknowing mystery. So actually, silence can convey it, words can point at it. But this true self can never be captured in a word. So we say true self, but that's a pointer. It's not a thing. It's not an object. It's not even a subject. It is no thing. Everything is under the law of time and change. No thing is of a different order, so that can not be captured in time, space, name, form, any definition. Do you get it? Never forget this. Never forget this. It's a completely different dimension. So all these attempts of this I sense to search for it is a hopeless affair. All your attempts to find this self, your true self, it's hopeless. Because this thing that is looking itself is what you're looking for. It's the missing piece. This thing that is looking for the true self, we call it I. Itself is the missing piece. It is what you're looking for. The thing that is looking is what you're looking for. So every attempt to search is doomed. It's not possible. So it is exhausting itself. It comes, this whole search party comes to extinction. So at some point you're just so fed up, or you're so frustrated, or you're so upset, or you're so in such despair, that the whole thing comes to a culmination and you give it up. If you give it up in clear presence, you will see. If you give it up and turn your back to truth, that's quite painful. That's the journey to suffering. Do you get the point? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Yeah. Do you get the point?
Well,
Let's not move on until you get the point. This is very crucial.
yeah.
So changelessness is of another order. Everything that can be experienced, can be felt, can be thought, is under the law of change, is happening in time. Our whole adventure of me living a life from birth to death, this whole package is under the law of time and is not, in this package we cannot find what we are looking for. This whole package we cannot find it. And people continue, okay, I have a problem, how can I solve it? This is in this package. All of it is an assumption, starting with the assumption that I is a reality. You see? Mm-hmm. So something else needs to, you need to turn somewhere else, Mm-hmm. You need to turn away from this package where we go in circles, solving problems. We forget that we make them ourselves, and then we solve them, and then we are happy, and then we get restless, and we make another problem, and then we solve them, and then we are happy that we solved them, and we find ourselves really smart, and then we are happy for a while, and then we feel restless, and we make another problem, and yeah. And we constantly divert ourselves from this profound restlessness, profound loneliness, profound helplessness and despair. So we fill up our lives and we fill up our minds. This is usually how we operate. Endless until you die. Yeah, it's so painful. It's so painful. But in this package you cannot find who you are. This is impossible. The one who is in search of realization itself needs to be addressed. And that is always overlooked. But this is where our attention needs to fall. This I that is in search. This I that is suffering. The one who is in search is a personal I, isn't it? Like, oh, I suffer, I feel lonely. Oh, is there something like liberation? I want that. Yeah? Let's go. Oh, here's a guru, that's nice. Please show me. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So usually the person wants to be freed from suffering. Please, free me from suffering, it's unbearable. But when suffering is truly lifted, it takes along the one who is suffering. That's one package. Oh, that's not what I want. I want freedom. I want to be free of suffering. I want that. This is what I want. But a free life and I is not a match. Liberation and I is not a match. So this I that is in search of release, of freedom, is eaten up. I told you, it's another domain. It's not the liberation is not hanging out in the domain of I and my painful life. It's not hanging out there. I and the painful life is same. Freedom is hanging out in no man's land. So you need to give up your identity, your personality, your identifications, your definitions, you know, the whole thing. You must be willing to be nobody. Which you have always been, that's so funny. It's only stolen. Identity is stolen. So actually nothing is changing. Nothing is really changing in awakening. It's only that you clearly see what is true and what is apparent. See? What seems to be true. You can see clearly now what seems to be true and what is truly true. And you give up your sense of me, myself, and I. You just don't honor that anymore. And most people want freedom for themselves. That cannot be. It's completely impersonal. Freedom doesn't belong to anybody. It's God's domain. Any sense of identity is falsely acclaimed. And you just need to acknowledge that. To see it for yourself and acknowledge it. So you will never find it. That's a relief, you know. You can just as well give it all up. And be present. Be vigilant. Just live love. Be open, receptive. Nothing to cling to. Nothing to avoid. Oh, the sun is so beautiful on your face. Yeah. Isn't it simple? It's so simple. Nothing to figure out. I told you, this is for lazy people.